Hello, everybody, and welcome to Back and Forth. I'm your host, Gecko Man, and sitting beside me is our co-host, Rogue Gambit, the man who fought at Mimbom when he was 16.
I imagine your hate. I imagine that no matter what you tell me or yourself, you'll die fighting.
I kind of would like to die of old age, please.
As long as you're fighting.
All right, yeah, sure. So we're going to be talking about episode 4 of Andor and episode 7 of She-Hulk.
Yep.
Do we want to get the worst out of the way quickly, or just go on to...
Yes, we can talk Andor.
How dare you?
No, yeah, let's talk She-Hulk.
So She-Hulk episode 7. Good news. We only have 2 episodes left. Bad news, the entire episode. It wasn't the worst episode.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't the worst, but there were still a lot of things in it that could just have been...
Right, and there was definitely some character development. I appreciate it. You know?
That's true. There was some better character development in the one episode than the entire show.
Yeah.
And I mean, wow, I'm blanking on his name, but the guy that plays Mia Blonsky, such a good actor.
Oh, he's great.
It's
I
like
love him.
Even when he's just like playing a character that they're just like making fun of, basically.
Yeah,
He still just does such a good job.
he does. Real fast though. Real talk for a moment.
Just tell me. Tell me what you're feeling.
Do any of those characters? Do you know any of them?
Sure. Yeah, like so, Man Bull. He's from the comics. He fights Thor, and he fights Matador, El Matador, who the other kid was supposed to be spoofed off of, but he of course wasn't a Matador because that's whatever he says. So it was yeah.
It was just
the
so
vampire
confusing.
dude, I think, is supposed to be a spoof off of Blade's father, but then he said your father, so maybe he's supposed to be a spoof off of Blade, or maybe Blade's son. I don't know, but I wasn't sure who they were, or maybe he's Dracula's son. I'm trying to remember his name in the comic, but anyways, not sure exactly who he was trying to be. The porcupine dudes, I think they were kind of playing off a couple of different characters with him, but not sure. And I have no, the other dude from the Wrecking Crew, not sure why he was there.
Mm-mm.
I guess just to give a reason for Hulk to Hulk out, She-Hulk to She-Hulk out. But, I feel like there's other ways to do that.
Yeah,
Not
I
sure what
absolutely
he was doing there.
Yeah. So those are those characters. I mean, I
Mhm.
mentioned them because they were in the trailer, so I'd mentioned them before, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, anything else about this episode?
Oh, let's go into some of its problems here.
Yeah.
So we'll start off with She-Hulk. The start was actually okay. The montage wasn't terrible.
I feel like it was just to me, I felt like it was kind of just, I don't want to say forced, more like unnecessary. I don't know. Just something about it was really making me feel just like it wasn't supposed to be there.
I don't know. I mean, it just very, it was totally very different from the rest of the show.
Mhm.
Sure. But I was okay with that just because each episode is so different from each other that I was like, okay, I see what they're doing with this one. And I was okay with it. I thought it was done fine. Like I had said when I watched the camera work at Blanche was awful.
Yeah.
And there was random CGI.
I do want to talk about that, but
Yeah, you're videoing a phone on a table. Put a freaking phone on a table
Yeah.
and shoot it with a camera. But instead they CGI'd the entire set, and so they had to have it way zoomed in so they didn't have anything else in the apartment being shown. It was so ugly.
it looked absolutely disgusting.
And so fake looking that the table, oh my goodness, it looks so bad in that glass.
Oh yeah, that
it
was
wasn't
horrible.
even translucent, but it was supposed to be. Oh my goodness, it was bad.
Yeah. Also, a couple other things. The scene where we see She-Hulk in her office, at least the first time.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did it look like her chin was out further?
The CGI on her face was a little rough there, and then her silhouette and the reflection.
I wasn't paying attention to that because I was so distracted by her chin.
Oh my goodness, the silhouette on the window was so off.
Yeah.
I get that windows can be distorting, but like you could just tell that it was
Not right at all.
cheap. Yeah.
And then I feel like there was a bit of bad CGI work on the car when it got hit by.
So we'll get to after
Yeah.
the montage. So she goes to this place. By the way, my favorite scene in the whole thing was when she got called by the character. He's my favorite character. Anyway, so they go to this retreat place, and then it's just like everything felt so forced. We had to figure out a way to keep her here. So we're gonna get in this fight and like destroy this car and like make this whole thing where like, oh, we're all just peaceful here, so we aren't going to do anything about it. And she's like, instead of being, I'm a lawyer. Listen, I could literally get you thrown back in jail unless you fix my car, right?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't do that. She doesn't go, oh, I'm Hulk. I could just go somewhere because I'm obsessed with my phone. I could just, with one leap, be somewhere where cell service is.
Exactly.
Or, oh, I'm Hulk. I could literally just pick up my car and take it wherever the heck I want to go.
Yep.
Or, she doesn't rage out. None of that. It's just like, oh, I'm just like so distracted by my phone that, oh my goodness, I can't do anything. I'm just,
Yeah.
like, what? And so that felt so forced to like keep her there. Then, so now she's there, right? Every moment felt so forced from that moment on.
Yep.
Like, well, we have to get her to this place, right? Into this log cabin where first he says only the inner circle goes, right?
That's right.
She just wanders in there, and it's like the only people there. It's like, wait, this is the inner circle, literally the only people we've seen this entire episode, plus this other guy that we meet. And they don't care that she just wandered in there.
Oh my goodness.
But then, like, the conversation and whatnot, like, it felt fake, but it was just, like, boring. But at the same time, that was kind of like we did get to actually have some character development.
Yeah.
Learn who She-Hulk is. Learn things about her. It was like, oh my goodness, this is actual character development, even though it's boring as heck. So, that all happened.
Now, real fast, don't take this as we don't think that the guy who plays Emil Blonsky did horrible. He still did a great job throughout the entire thing.
The actor's fantastic.
Yeah.
So then, all that just to set up that this character, Josh, is bad, right?
Yeah.
Is a bad guy. When all you could have done is showed the previously on and everybody knew it after that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If you didn't know it, you weren't paying attention. And so it was like we have this whole episode where all we're doing is saying that Josh is actually a bad guy. But instead of just telling us that, we have this whole episode to explain what we already know.
Yeah. It was very, very... If you want to hide a bad guy, don't make it so obvious.
Yeah. So, that's how I felt about it. It was, super unnecessary. Wasn't the worst episode, but...
Definitely not the best.
Well... it's definitely not a good episode.
Yeah. That's a better wording for it.
Oh, man, no Daredevil, so... Yeah. No thing to redeem that.
Yep. Well, there are 2 episodes coming, and we've had like horrible traction on this whole like who the bad guy is, and we'll probably get Daredevil in probably the next episode here. So that's my thought.
Yep. Who's Hulk King?
What?
Hulk King. That's what we texted.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing it's a playoff of Hulkling,
Yeah.
but not sure what they're going with there. So, watch out for Hulk King. And hopefully Daredevil shows up soon to save this whole...
Watch him show up in, like, the last episode after credits.
Yeah, that would be obnoxious.
Yeah. But then that's less time for them to ruin him.
That's true. Yeah. So.
Andor,
yay.
So, first off, I want to say real fast that this episode was kind of a boring episode. but definitely did have some stuff that we've learned about the characters and stuff like that. Our dude, who I thought was a senator, completely wrong. He is actually a storekeeper of old relics, which I love. I think that is like the best thing to do because we get to see kind of like some Star Wars stores and stuff, which is
Yeah.
I know that's a little weird to say, but I think it's kind of
No, yeah, and I think it's really cool to like see relics and see like that they're keeping the history, right?
Yeah.
And that like see that side of the world that was very unique.
Yeah.
And I was excited for it. And I think like a character like what's his name?
Not Emil Blonsky, I'll tell you that much.
Luthen. It's just like perfect for him where he can, be in the city, have people coming and going,
Yeah.
be able to talk to who he needs to. I enjoy that.
Yeah, it definitely is a good choice to have an artifact, basically a artifact shop or whatever they're called, be his type of job.
I couldn't tell if it was some sort of like
A front?
no, like if it was okay. So in like our world, right, we have like museums, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then we have shops, and we also have like where the archaeologists like extract the artifacts and hold them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't tell exactly where in the line it fully fell. If it was like funded by the Senate, to get these artifacts and keep them and maintain them and sell them, and it was more of a museum side of it, or if it was like, no, this is a place that like he owns, that he gets the artifacts, like brokers them, right?
Yeah.
Finds artifacts for people, gets them from entities and sells them, or if he's more on the archaeological side and like these people find he's there to sell what they find.
Yeah. I would think it would
It's
be
not that
more
big of a deal either.
Well, talking about that, I think I can answer that question in some sort of way. First off, he does say that he, like, in some way, he does kind of mention the fact that he always is leaving the place.
Right.
So I think for that type, I think he is more of the fact of being the one to find these artifacts going out.
Because you're probably right. That makes sense for his position of needing to leave and stuff.
Yeah.
And always meeting with people and all that. Interesting.
It would be a different...
I loved his character in this episode so much.
Yeah.
And just like...
Best character so far.
like the acting of Skarsgård when he's like... just like changing to this other character.
Oh, that was great.
And just like...
I love Secret Rooms.
You could definitely see that he had done stage acting before. And that like came out in his like portrayal of that character.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. I'm kind of interested so what did you think of Mon Mothma?
I thought it was very interesting to see her in this kind of situation of having like threats all around her.
Right.
And you never really see Mon Mothma in this type of situation because she's always with the rebellion, kind of in the middle of it, leading everybody.
Right. So I don't know my Star Wars history. So when we first meet her,
that would be in episode 6, I believe.
Do we know that she was previously like a senator in
She had always been a senator. She was in the Clone Wars. We see her in the Clone Wars. I think she was in maybe even just we saw glimpses of her in episodes 1, 2, and 3. We definitely of course see her in episode 6. She is definitely mentioned quite big in Rebels, and that's about it. I don't remember if she's in quite a bit. She's like a big part of the rebellion as well as the Senate.
Right, I knew she was a big part of the rebellion. I did not know how much we knew about her in the Senate, and so I feel like we're going to kind of get that transition where I'm guessing these threats are going to come so close that she has to run, right, and go.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing she's going to meet Andor and all that jazz. I'm definitely interested in seeing how that all happens. So do we know anything about her husband?
No. I
So
know
we don't-
nothing.
do we
I
know,
don't
like-
know if there's been any information about him at all, but yeah, I have no idea who he is. I don't
'Cause-
really know what his
Yeah.
type of position is on the Senate, if he is part of the Senate or if he's some type of businessman of
Right.
some kind. Don't know.
Based on the way they portrayed him, I really kind of liked the way they portrayed him in the fact that it didn't give us any hint into like how much he knows about
Yeah.
how
I
what
love
she
that.
does, and like
she clearly knows a little bit about the Senate, where she's like, these people I argue with all the time at the Senate, right?
Yeah.
and so
Of course, he knows who those people are, and she probably vents about that and stuff at home, right? Like, what else are you gonna do? But the other side of her, the rebellion side, like
Mhm.
you can't, and I really like that. Where like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to figure that out. Like, is he gonna be the one who
I'm-
turns on her type
Now-
of thing.
I see where you're going, and I would love it if they kept that kind of going through a couple more episodes.
Right.
But which makes me scared that they're just gonna drop it by the next
Oh, yeah.
episode.
And I just like how they've introduced this character. I'm not saying like, oh my goodness, he needs to be in Mystique the entire time, but
Yeah.
As we,
it was nice that okay, now as we get to know this character more, we're gonna learn something. It's not just
yeah.
put
Exactly.
out there, or it's not just like confusing as some
shows try to be.
Yeah.
it's just we're gonna be
Put this out there.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of the small little rebel group?
It was pretty stereotypical, right?
Yeah.
you've got your
Angry old guy. You've got your young whippersnapper.
you got your inside man,
You got the leader, and you got the random woman that cares for everybody.
it was pretty generic.
Pretty generic. I totally agree with that.
And well, I guess there's the other guy too. I guess would be like the guardian, whatever.
That's
Cares about everybody.
Yeah.
It's probably the muscle. That's why he had the AK-47.
Speaking of the AK-47, there's actually 2 of them in there.
Yeah.
Who knows how many there are? Listen. Now, I've watched a video about these type of this, and somebody was saying how people should not get upset about the AK-47 being popped in. I believe I mentioned this before in a previous episode. Don't remember if I did, but I believe I did. The fact is, it isn't the fact that it's an AK that we can recognize that it's an AK-47. It's the fact that they put like no work in it to give it a Star Wars look.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to take, Star Wars, esque weapons, and because this show is supposed to feel more like the real world, they're trying to.
Yeah.
Bridge that gap.
But that is so unnecessary and has no precedent in Star Wars, right?
Yep.
Even the rebels and all the Star Wars stuff had blasters that were it's not like they were having to handcraft these blasters or whatever
Yeah,
and whatnot. So it doesn't really make sense. But I don't know. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers you, but I think it's just so unnecessary.
It very much is, and it bothers me to the core of my being.
But anyways,
Other than that, I think I really liked Andor in this episode as well. I think he was, of course, with the rebellion, it was kind of hard, but I liked how in a way he was still kind of learning of how to be a rebel, but he like still knew what to do due to his little.
He's definitely he's intelligent in the whole robbing,
The whole
sneaking around, the whole spy, the whole espionage deal, but he's learning, how the rebels operate. Like you said, the episode was a little boring in the fact that, like, you could tell it was this. We had 3 episodes, right, and a ton happened in those 3 episodes,
Yeah.
and a ton is about to happen. But they had to have this episode to set a lot of things up, right? So it was a little boring. The one thing I'd say about Andor, I thoroughly enjoyed his character as well. I didn't like, and I think it was just like they were doing so much, they didn't really have time for it to build, but how quickly he just like got told about this meteor shower that was going to be their cover. And
Oh,
like,
yeah,
oh,
that
okay,
was
this is
really-
going to be easy. Went from being like, this is impossible to being like, oh, let's do this. Instead of like, I don't know, maybe like, okay, talking about, all right, this is how that cover is going to work now. All right, I'm in for this plan. There might, but he was like, no, like just complete 180 instead of like working around, having doubts, but figuring the plan out, right?
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
now I feel like later on they're gonna have to work out this plan even more, and it's gonna be like feel even more like an exposition dump because
Yeah.
and they could have just done that all there. But
Exactly.
we'll see.
But yeah, so yeah, I liked Andor, but didn't really not the biggest fan of the whole rebel group still. What could happen? Don't know what could happen with them.
Yeah.
Might like it, might not. Don't know. Other than that, shall we talk about our Imperials?
Sure.
So I do want to point out something here. I really like seeing more, I guess, white shirts.
Yeah.
That was very interesting, especially the whole meeting they had. The only question I have is, where is Director Krennic?
Yeah.
Whether he was director at this time or not, I don't know.
I still was kind of bored with the whole Imperials like it was in the last 3 episodes. Contrary to popularity, they were Imperials. And I think that was proven.
Listen, I'm not saying they weren't Imperials. I'm saying that they were
Militia. I know.
they were militia, but I can understand. Like, I will agree to this: they were employed by the Imperials.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
Anyway.
They aren't exactly Imperials. They just, if they are Imperials, I just don't understand why they aren't in like Imperial uniforms and stuff like that.
Okay, it's like this.
We don't need to get into this whole conversation.
When Germany, in World War II, when Germany and Italy were fighting the U.S., it wasn't like they were the alliance, right? They were the Axis, right?
Oh.
Or the Axis, we were the allies, right? It's not like they were the Axis, both of them were, but the Italians weren't Nazis, right?
That's true.
They were all the Axis powers, right? And it's the same way, where it's like the Empire has all these little militia groups that it controls because they control the planet they're on or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But they're still under the Empire.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Anyway, moving on from that.
So, I still was a little bored. Like I was like, okay,
Yeah,
but I did like how they developed the characters. I like the first character that we meet that's like chastising them, you know.
Oh yeah.
And
I
then
love
and
the
then
way he
like how he
chastises them.
showed up later. Like I was expecting that to be like all we saw of him, and then
Yeah.
he shows up as the one that Dedra is like going up against, right?
Mhm.
And that was really cool.
I really like him. Like, I love the way he chastises people.
Yeah,
It's great.
that was really good scene. And I really like the guy that we had seen him previously. You know, the guy that I said I liked, young guy in the
Militia group.
militia guy. You know, that was like all hot-headed, decided to go do the thing.
Oh, the main guy.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking
And
about
then when
someone
he like
else.
goes into his mother. You know?
Yeah.
I really liked how he just was like silent that whole time. You could really like see that he was just like thinking about
Yeah,
this. And that's what had said before. Is like I really think he is like trying to decide if he's part of the
Mm-hmm.
Imperials or if he's against the Imperials.
Yeah.
You know. And I'm really excited to see where they go with that.
I don't know if I like it because I feel like he could have been a really good bad guy, but they could still go
I
that
think he
way.
could still be a bad guy.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He could still like be a bad guy.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going to where he's gonna. We can go into speculation later.
Yeah, we'll go into speculation later.
But first, but talk about the Imperials. Yeah, I'd like to see the inner workings of all of it and stuff. That was interesting. And I don't know, just like watching it after She-Hulk, there was so much talking.
There was definitely
But like I cared what people were saying because like the conversations they had felt like a conversation that like
about the Star Path unit, about
people in this industry would be talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But in She-Hulk, it's like every conversation feels so fake and like I've never heard people talk like this in my life, and I don't feel like lawyers talk like this. I don't feel like friends talk like this. I don't feel like
dang counselor groups talk like this.
Exactly. And so that was just
weird.
very refreshing because like there was some clunky dialogue and stuff, but it all just still worked.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I got to say on the Imperial side. Anything else? I do have to say, when I wish I could remember his name, but when he went to his mother, I loved that scene.
You like that scene?
I loved
The
that
gas?
scene. Yeah. Like it just felt, and because like that character, like did he even say anything that whole time?
I think he
Once
just
again?
said mother.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that character.
I will
the way
agree.
that they've done him, like he doesn't need to say anything. And he just like stood there, and then he just goes, and it just all felt amazing.
Yeah.
That was some of my favorite.
I will say this.
Scene.
I feel like Disney is making a very good choice with the Andor show because I feel like like you said, the dialogue has been dialogue that we can like follow. And even though it has been clunky at sometimes, as you said, it does feel like even when it feels like that when there's not dialogue, it's so perfect.
Yeah.
Like it's necessary that there's no dialogue. Even scenes of your favorite guy,
Yeah.
of just not talking is so good. Just the
Exactly.
entire scene of him walking down the hallway, getting to the elevator, going down, walking, nothing.
Oh.
And then he just says, mother.
Yeah.
And it's just like, whoa, that is all you need to hear. You don't need to say like this, mother, I'm home from my security briefing of this planet that
And
this
I
happened.
might have did something bad. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go back to work. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
none of that. It was just like, we know. We saw him get in trouble. We know that
Exactly.
he's really deep in thought about what he's doing and what the Empire's doing. We know that, and he hasn't said a word of it.
Exactly. It's so good. He could have said like, hey, mother, I've been thinking about the Empire lately. I hate him.
Yeah. There's so many things that could have just ruined that shot.
Yeah, but they didn't, and it was so great. It was very refreshing to me because Star Wars has been doing that lately.
Yeah, and also you just like saw the relationship with him and his mother, like in the way that they acted. Like it didn't have anything to do with them. Like she didn't yell at him; she just slaps him and then hugs him, and it's like that just told me so much.
Yeah, probably the best scene in the whole.
So far, it's my favorite scene.
Yeah. Moving on from that, I'm going to say this as well. Going back, there's a lot. I feel like there was a lot of scenes that could have been added.
Oh, I will say there was a mistake in that scene, though. Well, not necessarily a mistake, just like an incongruency. So he goes down this elevator, and then you see him set both his briefcases down and walk out. But then the next shot, he's carrying both his briefcases down this hallway. And I don't get why you would set your briefcases down and then leave an elevator. First of all, maybe he got off on the wrong floor. Just checking. But that was just weird. And then the next shot, we just see him walk in his briefcases.
I actually didn't notice that. Thank you for that. I didn't notice that.
As you were saying.
That's funny. Yeah, so I was thinking about this one scene when our one main Imperial lady was talking to this other Imperial.
Dedra?
Yeah, Dedra. Is that her name?
Dedra's like the white shirt.
Yeah.
Dedra is the lady. The guy was. I don't remember. Anyways.
I never caught her name. So
Yeah.
Dedra. So when Dedra was talking to the one guy about the Star Path unit, saying that she has jurisdiction, I was fully expecting us to see a scene with her second in command, whatever that guy was, first, and then her.
Yeah.
But then she just walks in and says this. I'm like, that is perfect. We don't need to see her. I was fully expecting it too.
And then like that really set up the fact when he says, when she's like, "Are you denying my request?" And he's like, "Yes, for the second time today." It's just like that hit home because like we were catching up, right? And then it's like boom. If we had that scene, then when he says that, we're like, yeah, we already know this, right? That just feels like bad dialogue.
Exactly. So there were so many amazing dialogue choices. Yeah. Not only that, I will say that I do really like their conversation of her just asking for the Star Path unit. And then she's like, all right, well, then we'll go talk to this guy. And it was just like, you might want to steady the ladder before you climb it.
Oh yeah,
I love that line.
And then he's like, don't look down.
Yeah, that was great.
That guy he had a lot of good lines.
Yeah, he does. And especially when he's talking to the militia group, the three guys. Yeah. I had no part of this. Love that line. I just think that these guys these people are like probably the best Imperials we've seen so far. Not only that, I also feel like there wasn't a whole lot of unnecessary dialogue to tell us what type of job they had.
Yeah. Like we had a whole meeting, but like it was like there was to the point of what they needed to do. It wasn't like all this backstory and stuff.
Well, I mean, there was like of our favorite one dude, my favorite guy, criticizing them and telling them, what do we do here?
Yeah.
And then this, and they're like, no, we are a healthcare provider. I love that.
Yeah, and then he like asked, like it almost felt like he was like asking the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you get what I'm saying? Nope, I was lost.
Also, I love that mustache guy that pops up.
Great mustache, gotta say.
Anything else for this episode? Before I talk about some noticeable, maybe some Easter eggs. I don't know if they are Easter
We should
eggs.
get into Easter eggs, and then after Easter eggs, we can maybe talk about what we think going forward is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I definitely have some upcoming stuff to talk about. So, go ahead.
So, a couple things I noticed. Number one, we see a suit of armor in Luthen's shop.
Yeah.
Now, it looks very similar to the armor that a certain Star Killer has. A video game character, Force Unleashed.
Okay.
It's in Force Unleashed, I want to say 2, but I'm pretty sure it's Force Unleashed 1. The only differences I would say is it's just kind of the arm, just the upper arms that we see that it has, and for some reason it has a mohawk of blades, which is really weird to see. So it's kind of interesting to see that. I do know that Starkiller is not a canon Star Wars character. So whether they think to just are dropping Easter eggs just to say, hey, this is Starkiller, hi, because we did get Starkiller in Rogue One when they're looking for the Death Star plans in that machine, and they're just reading off everything like Starkiller, doo and stuff like that. There was another thing. Oh, the Kyber crystal.
Yeah.
First off, I didn't think that was a Kyber crystal. Then he said Kyber. I was like, is that a Kyber crystal? Doesn't look like one because they're usually a lot smaller.
Well, it sounded like he was saying it was like kind of a Kyber crystal, or because he said it was something else with Kyber.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I think it was like Kyber dust in something else or something like that.
Yeah, that makes much more sense because I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know if it was an actual Kyber crystal or not, because if it was an actual Kyber crystal, I think you would want to get that to a Jedi.
Well, Jedi don't exist.
I'll zip it. I think you would want to get it to Ahsoka Tano. I did hear rumors that this could be Ahsoka's lightsaber crystal that she gets for her white lightsabers.
Interesting.
It is not. I can confirm that right now.
Okay.
Because from what that you just said, it is Kyber dust, not a Kyber crystal.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it is not an actual Kyber
like
crystal, so it would not.
It did look like there was maybe something like wedged in it, like it was like a crystal with like a silverish thing in it. So that could be like an encased Kyber crystal or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's not Ahsoka's lightsabers. I can tell you that right now. Which I will get into exactly what I think what will happen in Tales of the Jedi later down. Other than that, I think that's about it. We did get a little Saw Gerrera mentioned. Yeah. We are going to see him in this show, I believe. Whether that be just for a couple minutes or for a whole episode, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. That's about it I got for Easter eggs that I've seen. I will say this once. I really love Luthen's ship.
Yeah, that was... do you know what type of ship it is? Because it looks almost like an Imperial...
It definitely looks...
almost like Darth Vader's like personal TIE fighter. With like the...
It's not... It's not that. I would say it's a modified Imperial ship because it definitely has the type of cockpit that would look like from an Imperial.
Like he did say at the start, he's like, this when he was saying it was modified. I think he mentioned the model or whatever it was.
Yeah, he definitely said the model.
I don't remember it,
but I think it is a modified Imperial ship. But it would make sense that this type of man living on Coruscant would have an Imperial ship. It would make perfect sense. Other than that, anything else?
So I guess we could talk about where we kind of see things going.
Yep.
So
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Hopefully, Daredevil shows up and the show gets better. Anyways, maybe
doesn't ruin him. There's definitely going to be a lot of stuff coming due to their whole plan to infiltrate this place and not get just credits, but raid an armory, which might explain why they have AK-47s.
Yeah. So I think whatever they're doing is going to really open because we got the Imperial, where people keep bringing up like this could be rebel activity, and it's getting shot down. So I think what they do is going to really open the eyes to the Empire of rebel activity, and that's going to start clamping stuff down, and that's when we're going to get like the rebellion actually created, when like people like Mothma and stuff have to get out of Coruscant, and our Luthen has to is probably going to become like almost like a smuggler, right? Like trying to help people get out of Coruscant that are helping the rebel and stuff. And then I think we're going to see on the Imperial side, people have to choose like, oh, this is the Empire like clamping down, like actually trying to oppress people. Like we can see that so obviously now. So we're going to have people like the militia officer I was talking about. Like I think he's going to have to make a choice. I don't know that's what I love about this show. Is I don't know what choice he's going to make.
Yeah, exactly.
He could make either one, and it be a good character arc at this point.
Yeah,
and I'm excited for that. Personally, I think he's going to join. He's going to meet Dedra, because Dedra's probably going to go behind people's back to talk to him.
Yeah.
And I think Dedra's going to choose the Empire, and I think he's going to choose
the Rebellion.
Possibly. But both of them I could see choosing the opposite. And so I like that.
Yeah. One thing I will say, though, a couple things here. First off, the rebellion isn't actually a rebellion yet. Right. There's just very tiny pockets, like what we saw on whatever planet they're on. I forget the planet they're on. But we saw a small group right there.
Abahami. Something. I mean, it was the name of the episode.
Yeah.
Adahani. I think that's right. Adohani.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think I'm not exactly sure, but I'll go with it. So, the only thing that really seems to connect them is Luthen. That's one thing I do want to point out here. Luthen seems to be able to contact all these small rebel groups.
One line of dialogue I liked is because she's like, so the leader of this rebellion little group. Why am I blanking the name?
Mon Mothma?
No, the little group on Adahani.
Oh, yeah, I don't know her name. Sorry, I can't help you.
It's literally right there. But
I'm the one who's supposed to forget the names, not you.
Are you kidding me? If in Star Wars, she's getting Clem right there, and she's like, "This was my idea all along, right? It was supposed to be their whole thing, right?"
Yeah.
And she tells everybody that, and then the one guy's like, "I wish I was in the loop," and she's like, "So do I." That was such a good line. Like, that was like where she was still like annoyed about it, and like almost like give away that it wasn't just her choice.
Yeah.
So good.
That was great.
Anyways.
Yeah, but so real fast, I do want to point something out real fast before we continue on this. So Mon Mothma's rebel group never really does get created until the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels.
Okay.
So I'll tell you this little story. So the Star Wars Rebels group, Kanan Jarrus and Hera take on a job to get Mon Mothma to a certain part in the galaxy. She broadcasts to all rebel groups and says, let's get together and take on the Empire. And then that's when the whole Mon Mothma rebellion gets started. So I will say that there's never been so at this point in time with the Andor show, I believe there's not like a big group, or Mon Mothma's not really trying as hard as she is after whatever is going to happen in Andor.
Yeah.
So I think Andor and Mon Mothma are going to be the two people who begin this Mothma rebellion.
So I think that does it for Andor then?
One thing I will say real fast is I am going to agree with you on the Luthen of him smuggling people off, because I definitely can see him becoming that type of...
Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be a really good story arc for him. There's other things they can do. And they can have him leave with Mon Mothma, or have his own cell or whatever group that he's in charge of. But I do think that's where he'd definitely shine.
Yeah. And then as well as Dedra, to me, she's a very interesting character, because first off, she's a new Imperial, but she's an Imperial that we haven't seen this part of the Imperials before. She's just basically a standby. No, more like just the boss of an entire sector.
Right. Or 2.
2 sectors, you're right. And then, of course, that one guy's the boss of 6.
Well, he's been around long.
That's true. Who knows? But I do have one question, though. Will there be some infighting?
Oh, I think that's kind of,
Yeah.
be happening.
To be honest, I do really want to
If
see.
you can trade sectors, if they're like playing cards, you know?
That would be kind of interesting.
I'll give you the Ferric sector for your little honey sector over there.
But
maybe if you throw in
I
a
don't
couple
think it'll be
thousand
the type
credits.
of infighting that we would think they would be. I think it would be kind of this infighting of like giving the main guy, the boss dude, this type of information, and then and which I really think would be kind of an interesting.
Yeah,
It could definitely go a wrong way, but
yeah, I definitely think like in a show like this where it's not focused on that, it could really shine. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, but other than that, I think we have squeezed out this episode as much as possible.
So do you have any upcoming news? Any new news about Star Wars stuff? Then?
Not a whole lot, but so a couple things here. We are definitely getting more shots. What I did learn about Tales of the Jedi, I should say.
We're 2 weeks away now.
2 weeks away, I think so. October. At some time in October, I'll say. I think it's October 12th, maybe 13th. I think it's 12th. But so real fast, Count Dooku's story arc is going to be very interesting because first off, everybody. So I just want to confirm, just let everybody know here, whoever's listening, is the fact that Count Dooku never went to the dark side, but he did leave the Jedi Order before the Clone Wars.
Right.
Not during the Clone Wars, before the Clone Wars. And it is stated in episode 2 that when Obi-Wan Kenobi is talking about him, they were talking about Count Dooku, about just like where he's been and all this stuff. Yes. So he left before, so this is going to be a time before the Clone Wars. And yes, Count Dooku was an apprentice to Darth Sidious, probably, I don't want to say at the time he left, maybe a little after the time he left, but he never
find himself.
Mm-hmm, exactly. But he never officially revealed that he was the apprentice until episode 3. So I just want to put that out there for everybody because I've been seeing a lot of talk about Count Dooku leaving the Jedi Order during the Clone Wars, which never actually happened.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
So we also are going to see a character that we have not seen since episode 1, The Phantom Menace. We're going to see Yaddle. Do you know who that is?
No.
It is another Yoda character. That was
all him in The Phantom Menace.
See her, I think, in the Phantom
Menace.
Yeah, one shot. I might put a picture. I'll put a picture up on YouTube for you all who are listening there. Yaddle was on the Jedi Council, and I think she died. Yeah, I believe she died before the Clone Wars. Yeah, she did because she wasn't on the Jedi Council on episode 2. So we might learn what happened to her in this whole show. So yeah,
cool.
Other than that, Ahsoka. Yeah, I kind of already said everything I could about Ahsoka. I haven't really seen anything new. Again, I will point out that we might see the fact that how she gets her white lightsabers, which is again after the Clone Wars. Not saying anybody said it yet, but I'm just saying this now just in case.
All right. So after the Clone Wars, anything else?
Bad Batch, I haven't seen anything new about. So I'm not too sure about that show yet.
Okay.
But Mandalorian season 3, nothing new. And I think that's it. Am I missing anything?
Skeleton Crew?
No, nothing new on Skeleton Crew.
Oh, no, that's way out. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Oh, actually, there is a little news, not about any shows, but Star Wars games. I hear. Yeah, I think it's just a rumor. I'm not too sure. We'll have to. I haven't dove too deeply in on this, and we're not really talking about video games, really. But I do want to mention this. I do hear that they might be releasing 2 Star Wars video games a year now.
Oh my!
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because we like rarely get Star Wars games,
Right.
and now we're going to be getting them a year now. With two of them every year now, which is going to be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah.
Who knows what type of Star Wars games we're going to get? We already know of like 2, maybe 3 coming out. Okay, calm down.
Sorry.
You get so excited. I know.
About to talk Marvel.
That's about it.
All right, Marvel. So let's start off with the less exciting stuff, but very important.
Yeah, hurry up. Let's go.
Actually, let's start off with what's coming up next. Werewolf by Night.
Oh yes.
So
yes.
people in the the media industry have been able to see it, so there's a lot of reviews out there on it and stuff. I'm refraining from watching any of them.
Really?
I'm too excited. I don't want it ruined in any way.
You don't even want to look to see if maybe the animation
I am going to
not animation,
listen to like the start of each of it, or like kind of like skip through them just to see if people are liking it. But those started coming out yesterday. I haven't had a chance to skip them because I really do not want to hear anything else. So I will have that hopefully by next week before it actually comes out, but don't right now. But yeah, I'm so excited. I should probably
take a deep breath.
Subdue my excitement so I don't get disappointed. But
yeah. Hey, that's what I did for Andor, and look what's happening.
Exactly. But anyways, next thing we'll talk about is Blade, since we're on the that side of the universe here.
We're not, but okay.
We're just talking about Werewolf by Night. It's very connected to Blade. So
Blade's more vampires, not Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf, vampire. I mean, I feel like they're very closely connected. Have you watched Underworld? Anyway, Blade, the director quit for Blade.
Really?
And apparently Mahershala Ali, who's playing Blade, was not happy with the script. Which makes me a little, worried, but when this has happened in the past, the people we've found have done a good job. So I'm not too worried. It did sound like usually Marvel scripts for a 2-hour plus movie are around 120 to 150 pages, and he had only a 90-page script written for it. So I don't know if there were hardly any action sequences. Well, like Blade movie, but no action sequences. Like what's going on here? So maybe he was just trying to do too much, trying to make it not an action movie when it's about vampires. So that could have been why they had to part ways. So, but I'm definitely interested in who's going to take the place of him. And like Mahershala always wanted to play Blade for like 5 years. So when he's mad, that's not good.
Yeah, there's probably a good reason behind it. And I'm very curious, did we get any news of why he was mad?
I mean, yeah, it sounded like things like there were 2 action sequences in the whole film that the characters felt very boring. Like he felt like it was very just boring and
really,
yeah, almost like more of like a show feel to it. So
wow,
we'll see where they go. I mean, if it was that bad, I guess I'm excited that we're going to get somebody better. But it is supposed to be coming out in less than a year and a half. So
yeah,
need to get on it. So
it's just like, again, it's going to be like Werewolf by Night again, probably. Like we're not going to get anything until And
I want to, yeah. I think, I'm guessing we'll get an announcement of a new director in the next couple months because they need somebody.
Yeah.
And if they already have at least a little bit of a script to go off of, they had to have liked it somewhat if you made it this far, right? So I think it'll be kind of like
that's kind of scary.
Multiverse of Madness, because Multiverse of Madness was very similar. They had a director, they were going in a very different direction, and then he left. That all fell apart.
You were saying?
The director, I blanked on his name suddenly, came in. Sam Raimi came in, he took aspects of the script and then made it his own, right?
Okay.
And so I think it'll be more like that, where they'll come in, they'll have a lot of the same
I
writers
don't know, like-
and take aspects. They could completely change it, and it could be
Either
very
completely
much
change it or try and go off
Right.
of it and
So-
it just ruins the movie.
It could. It definitely could happen. I think Midnight Multiverse of Madness was definitely like a diamond in the rough of that sort, right? Like a lot of movies like that have done that, just like were crashed and burned because they didn't. You couldn't tell what they were trying to do, right?
Yeah,
They
exactly.
tried to take stuff, but then they changed other stuff, and then that had a bunch of continuity issues, all that. So both things can happen. All right, moving on from Blade, we will go with Wakanda Forever. Actually, no, just like a rumor here. There hasn't been. We haven't got any new news, but there is a rumor that more Doctor Doom rumors that the person playing him could actually be Ryan Gosling. But then there was a rumor that a certain Harrison Ford could be coming to the MCU. Now, people know that he was talked about playing Thunderbolt Ross after William Hurt died. So people think that's probably what that's about. But other people are thinking maybe Doctor Doom. I feel like not for Doctor Doom, who's a little too old. Like,
Yeah.
he would already be in the like we'd know about him in the MCU by now. So they'd have to really work his backstory differently if he's that old. But is an option. So that's all we got there.
De-aging.
Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
we don't need another DH Harrison. And then finally, we will talk about a movie that we thought was going to be announced at D23, but was not, and that was Deadpool 3. So Deadpool 3.
I still haven't watched the first two.
Release date. We'll watch them. Don't worry. September 6, 2024. So it's going to be either the final movie in Phase 3 or the Phase 5 or the actual start of Phase 6 is what I think. So it's going to Fantastic Four is not going to start Phase 6. It's actually going to be Deadpool 3.
Wait.
Now.
No, hold on. Whoa. Wait. So if Deadpool 3 is going to be the end or the start.
Well, so when they showed like the timeline at San Diego Comic-Con and announced they announced 3 things in Phase 6, right? They announced Fantastic Four is going to start it, and then Avengers 2 movies were going to end it. There was a slot before that was September 6th, but there's nothing in that slot. Now that slot is filled by Deadpool 3, but we don't know what they're going to change. If stuff's going to be moved around at all.
Yeah.
So,
well, since
we haven't got any other official announcement about Fantastic Four, I would think that's going to be the one that moves back. That's why I think it's going to start Phase 6.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I could be wrong.
So here's the thing, though. Is it called Deadpool 3?
I think that's all we know right now.
Okay. So we haven't gotten a title card.
And they've been called just Deadpool, Deadpool 2, and Deadpool 3 so far. So like they could name it Deadpool 3, Deadpool joins MCU, like I don't know.
So, but here's the thing: is it going to be the same Deadpool who is not in?
So this is what we do know about it. So we've gotten teasers throughout the years by Ryan Reynolds, just like he did his whole thing with Korg. He did different stuff where it's just like he's made his little videos and just like keeping it on people's mind. He does such a good job of that.
Yeah.
So he did another one where he's sitting there and he's like, I've been working hard at this script, thinking what can we do to make it better. And he's like, and then it shows like this montage of him like working out. And reading comic books on the toilet and everything. Well, he's in his Deadpool 2 suit. So I think that 100% confirms it's going to be the exact same Deadpool.
Really? So it could be
how it's going to be. Like there's been a lot of rumors. There's been rumors that it's just going to be like he's just in the MCU and he's been in there all along. And that just works with you can do stuff like that with Deadpool since he's such like a lighthearted
character. But don't we see like X-Men?
Right. So
I know I've got a lot of questions.
So how they would have to explain away X-Men at that point. We figure I don't know how they do that for sure. I personally think they're going to there's so many ways to bring him into this universe, whether it be what's her face that showed up in Multiverse of Madness, America Chavez, or it be the whole convergence thing. I mean, in the comics, Deadpool's one of the people that works with Spider-Man multiple times, so he knows who Spider-Man is. That could be what brought him here. There's lots of ways they could bring him here. They could just have him. Because it's starting the Kang saga, or the final chapter of the Kang saga, could be that there's an incursion happening, and that's how he gets here. We don't know.
Okay.
Lots of ways. But anyways, so we see him, and then he says, and I got nothing. So we didn't have one idea, and then you see Hugh Jackman walking behind him. Hey, Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time? He's like, sure, Ryan.
I'm dying over here. I'm sorry. Now, okay, Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine again. Do you think it's at all real?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I 100% think this is confirmed now. Now, here's the thing. We know that, as I've said before, I think it's talked a lot during San Diego Comic-Con, is they don't have the rights to use new X-Men until 2025.
Yeah.
So this would be a way that they can bring X-Men in from the from the Fox X-Men universe, like Hugh Jackman, because he is the character that played Wolverine in that universe, and not be breaking any contract.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Another part of it is the fact that when they started writing Deadpool 1, they were writing like rough scripts for 3 movies. Now the third movie all along was going to be a Deadpool Wolverine team up. So a lot of people thought that was impossible now that he was joining the MCU. After Logan, they were like, Wolverine's not going to come back and want to play another Wolverine. So people thought that was going to happen, but I'm not surprised in the least that it is. Now, we have no idea what that means. Is it going to be Wolverine fighting Deadpool? Is it going to be Wolverine and Deadpool teaming up? Is it going to be bringing other X-Men with him? I mean, I'm sure Colossus and Negasonic Warhead Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, whatever her name is going to come with him. But besides that, we have no idea.
Well, okay, so real fast, though. So Deadpool might be... so you're saying Deadpool might be happening at this incursion time?
I mean, hold it. We know the date.
Hold that thought. So, if that is true, we will be seeing probably Wolverine, maybe Colossus, and whatever that one lady.
Negasonic Warhead, yeah.
Okay. So we might see them pop in for into our MCU world.
Probably Cable too.
Maybe. Oh, okay, Cable. Yeah, oh yeah, Cable. Sorry, I again haven't seen. Yep, Juggernaut.
Domino.
Domino?
Yeah.
Domino was in Deadpool?
Maybe.
I've seen a lot of clips for Deadpool. I just have no idea like who I've seen and what happened. I don't remember.
Do you want me to actually answer the question?
I honestly don't care. I really don't really care.
Domino's in Deadpool too.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Very good job with her character too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So could this be the fact that maybe Deadpool will, of course, stay in our universe, and then the rest of the X-Men that we see just
leave? I could definitely see there's very easy ways to explain that, because once again, Deadpool's character is very, very unique. So his character would not be affected the same way by an incursion as the other characters. Mm-hmm. So if he came here, him and Cable both should be able to stay here even when the universes go back to normal.
Really?
There should be no problem with that in the way that they're written in the comics. I don't know what they're going to do, of course, but that is definitely possibilities. So if they wanted to just have one movie where they're here and then everybody else is gone, they just want Deadpool here, they would definitely be able to do that.
Okay.
Now, and then just where it is on the timeline, that just would feel right to me. Like I said, don't know. The other thing that's very much a possibility of being a big part of this movie is Spider-Man, as I said, because Spider-Man and Deadpool team up a lot in the comics. And because he is a ground level superhero in the fact that, he doesn't have superpowers that take him into space and stuff, though he does have tons of adventures in space in the comics. But he would definitely run into Spider-Man and a Daredevil on the ground. Mm-hmm. And so that would be ways that they could introduce him in and I think could really, really work. Now, is Hugh Jackman's character going to Wolverine gonna stay? I'm guessing he will show up in Secret Wars at least.
Okay.
But besides that, I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Anything else?
We got a couple things about Quantum Mania and Loki season 2, but nothing big. I'll look into them some more and hopefully have some more by next week. But I think that's it for
Okay.
Marvel. That's what I at least needed to say. So.
All right. Then what's happening for Back and Forth next week?
So next week we'll be reviewing, of course, the next couple episodes of these shows, and then also talking about. It'll be the week before 12 by Night, and the week before
Good old Tales of the Jedi.
So
Possibly. I think it is, but I'm going to have to double check on the date just to be sure. But we'll say it is for now. If we're not, then we'll say that it wasn't on the next episode.
So whatever is then upcoming, we will be bringing our final thoughts.
Final thoughts, full thoughts, minimal thoughts.
Yeah. Just, So I guess we will see y'all next week.
Don't put yourselves inside a box.